Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is, what if Naruto built his ultimate harem? Ino, Hinata, Sakura, Tsunade, Temari, Anko, Tenten, Tayuya, Yugito, Hanabi, Kurani, Femhaku, Mabui and Shizune. Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. A lone woman is heading back home after finishing a mission. The woman has blonde hair with blow-style hairstyle. Is she wearing a gray shirt with a custom-made green flak jacket because of the woman's gigantic double J as it opens up a bit to show bit of her, with combat skirt, and arm guards. This is Samui, and she was initially from Kumo, then she moved to Konoha after inheriting a grand ton of money from her grandmother. She left Kumo because of so many greedy people back home. Sure, there was a lot of paperwork. From resigning, selling her own apartment and other things, but Samui is now much happier in Konoha. It has pleasant weather and some women in the village. As it turns out, Samui is a special woman and no one knows about it, yet. Samui is a futa and has never had, but she has her eyes won some bitches like Mito Uzumaki and the Hyuga women, even that busty nurse Aki Niju. But she wants to try one woman first. The daughter of Tsunade, Erotica Senji, she is a hot woman and rumor is she works as a stripper on the side as her main job as being a medic ninja like her mother. Samui smirks and licks her lips as she can't wait, but there are problems. Erotica is always busy, and Samui can't seem to find a chance to talk to her. Samui then signs into the village and heads to report into Tsunade. After that Samui heads home, then she enters to take a shower. Samui enjoying herself, the blonde woman begins thinking of finally having Erotica with her. Samui's fantasy. Erotica is giving Samui a lap dance in very skimpy clothes, then Samui kisses her and gropes her plump with no bra on Erotica's double K as she says, "Samui baby more, please. Grope your naughty stripper medic nin to your heart's content," as Samui smirks as she gropes her more as she says, "Erotica I just can't your brains oh." Samui's fantasy ends. Samui hears knocking from the front door. She turns off the shower and puts on her robe and heads over to the door. She looked through the peephole and sees her neighbor, woman with long blue hair named Aki Niju, along with a girl she sees in the morning at the training grounds, which sometimes Samui trains with her. Samui thinks, well, at least it is one of the girls I want for my own. Thank God I own this compound, but what brings them by? As she opens the door, she gets a full look of them. As before, Aki has long blue hair as she is wearing a pink skirt which hugging onto her K with a black shirt with a white coat. She's a medic ninja. Haruko has waist-length purple hair that is usually held up in a single ponytail by a red ribbon on the left, while the rest of her hair would fall into her face in several bangs on the right side and light blue eyes. She is wearing a white skirt with long stocking and combat skirt. The dress is hugging onto Haruko's H-cup. She is also 18 years old. In all, both of them are hot. "Hello, how can I help you both this nice day?" asked Samui with a hand on her hip. Haruko is the first to say, "Yes, Miss Samui, can you help me with a jutsu?" "Which one?" asked Samui, as she is excellent with shadow clones thanks to her clan the Kages. They were equal to the Uzumaki in chakra but not in sealing part, as Haruko tells Samui that it's a lightning justice. "What is the name of it?" Haruko, I didn't get the name, but I know it's a dragon." Samui nods, "Lightning dragon jutsu, yes, that is hard to learn." "Sure, I will help you." Then she turns to Aki. "How about you, Aki?" Aki smiles and says, "Well, I wanted to see my friend Samui. I am done with work for the day." Samuel smirks and says, "How about you two come in?" They nod and Samui lets them in with wicked intentions for the two girls, and today is the day she loses her virginity. Samui then leads them to the training ground in the backyard, though it also has a pool. However, Aki asks Samui if she could speak to her alone. Aki informs Samui that she couldn't stay long because she just remembered that she had something today. Samui nods in understanding and says, I understand, I hope to see you again soon. Aki waves by as now it's just Sami and Haruko. Samui didn't bother to put on clothes as she's still wearing her robe. As she's showing Haruko how to use the lightning jutsu, Haruko is starting to get it. Samui is watching her, but then she noticed that Haruko is about to make a mistake with the hand sign of the jutsu. She stops her as she gets behind Haruko and places her hands on Haruko's, as she says, you were about to do the wrong hand sign and it would have backfired on you, said Samui with her on Haruko's back, making her blush. Haruko says in a shudder voice, oh okay, thank you Miss Samui. Samui giggles and says, Samui is fine dear, no miss, that makes me sound old. Haruko says, oh okay Samui, as she's still blushing more as she's still feeling Samui's against her back. Samui smirks as her plan is working and knows that Haruko will soon be hers. But first she will ask Haruko something, said Haruko, do you have a boyfriend or someone special? As she is pushing her closer onto Haruko's back, Haruko stutters out, and not R really S Samui, wyd do you ask? As Samui smiles with Haruko blushing more. Time skip. A couple of minutes later. Starts. S Samui what are you doing? Asked Haruko as Samui is groping her left and she is cupping Haruko's with Haruko still have her clothes on, as Samui says, cause you're so Haruko, with the body you have, it will drive anyone crazy. Samui then finds Haruko's and pinches it a bit making her squeal. Haruko says, Samui be pleased, but Samui kisses her before she could finish off what she is going to say. Haruko's eyes widen as Samui is kissing her, then invades her mouth with her tongue. Haruko couldn't help but moans more and blush redder than before. Samui is thinking, yes, Haruko will be all mine soon. The blonde woman stops the kiss and begins to remove Haruko's clothes, followed by Haruko's pink bra and panties, but leaves the long stockings on. Samui founds it. Haruko shyly trying to cover herself up as Samui back off a bit as she slowly undoes her robe. Samui, says Haruko as she shyly covering herself. Before she knows it, Samui's robe fall on the floor and Haruko blush deeper shade of red. Not just the body of Samui, the girl sees Samui has a long, thick 17 and A. Haruko is shocked at this and asks, how do you have that? Samui says, oh I have it since I was born, and guess what Haruko, my is a virgin and you will be the first one to take it. Haruko's eyes widen in shock as she is a virgin as well. 5 minutes later. Both Samui and Haruko are in 69 positions with Haruko on top, and is being kind of forced to suck Samui's, and Samui is going to town on Haruko's as Haruko is thinking while sucking Samui's, why is this happening to me? As she blushing more, Samui loves the taste of Haruko's juice as she thinking. I so love this, and I want more. As she eating out of Haruko's more with Haruko losing it badly as she sucking more of Samui's. Samui then feels something and so does Haruko, which Haruko unknowing sucks Samui's faster as Samui licking the girl's same way. Later they both cum at the same time with Haruko getting an overflow of cum into her mouth. Samui receives a face full of Haruko's juices and she is enjoying the juices. Before long, Haruko finds herself laying on her back with her legs spread open with her legs being held by Samui. Samui is rubbing her with her making Haruko moan and is a little scared. Are you ready Haruko? Haruko says, no not I am a versus virgin. As she blushing very bright, Samui smiles and says, let's enjoy our first time together. She places the tip of her against Haruko's with Haruko saying, no. Please don't this Samui. As she tore a bit, but it falls on deaf eyes as Samui thrust her in Haruko's wet virgin. Haruko screams out with her eyes closed with more tears fall down as blood leak out of her. And no s stop p please. Is she thinking that Samui is a cruel woman as Samui says is she finally feeling the tightness of a, oh shit Haruko you're so tight I love it, with the blonde woman moaning with her tongue out of her mouth is she enjoying Haruko's tight on her. Haruko is crying and wants this to end now, and she wants to leave. A few minutes later, Samui is now Haruko wild-like by slamming her into Haruko's with their bouncing against each other with Samui holding onto Haruko's hands with her own while Haruko's legs are hanging in the air. Haruko is screaming, "En no p pleases stop s Samui en no m more," with Samui having her way with Haruko even more while lust is building up between with Samui moans out, "Oh I love this of your Haruko. I want to you more." The whole place is filled with the sounds of skin hitting against skin as well screams and moans as Haruko screams out of how she wants this to end. Samui then places her face in between of Haruko's then she starts to motorboat Haruko making her scream more as she shook her head is it too much for her while losing it badly. 10 minutes later, Haruko is on all fours as she is trying to get away but can't cause Samui has a tight hold on her while thrust her deeper into Haruko's with Haruko screaming out with sweat forming on her body, "Stop Samui, please stop this I like men stop please." She is hoping Samui will listen to her please. Samui doesn't listen as she Haruko even more while sees the girl's plump jiggling from each time it hit against her stomach as Samui says with sweat also forming on her body, "I don't think so I want you Haruko, and I will have you, so please let's keep going," as Samui moves her hips faster, thus making her thrust her more quickly with Haruko scream louder as she losing it so bad. Samui then feels something. "Get ready Haruko-chan I am going to come in you." Samui increases her thrusting, and Haruko screams, "No." As Samui lets out a small scream as she comes deep inside of Haruko with the girl scream, "No," again as she is feeling so much of Samui's in her. It went for no more than 6 minutes as Samui lays on Haruko's back with Haruko saying with tears, "And no. Now I'm ruined and will never get married." Samui then kisses her cheek and says, "Good cause I want you all for myself," with Haruko says, "And no." 5 minutes later, kitchen. Samui and Haruko are doing another round with Samui sitting on the chair and has Haruko on her lap while Samui holding Haruko's legs as Haruko screams out, "No please stop Samui. I want to get married so please stop." With the girl feeling more of the older woman's thrust into her wildly, Samui says, "No way you feel too amazing to let go to some guy who no doubt has a smaller than mine." Haruko is screaming to Samui to stop this right now, but Samui keeps thrusting into her as the girl's is leaking out so much juice as it coating Samui's with it as Samui Haruko even more. Little did Haruko know, she's slowly giving in to Samui in her. Samui then has her facing the window and Haruko is scared at someone seeing them as Haruko is pushed against the window with her against it as well as she feels more of Samui's thrust into her as Samui says, "I bet this turns you on more the possibility of being found out," as Haruko is very scared so she closed her eyes while Samui feels the girls getting tighter onto her. Samui smirks as she was right, but then she noticed something. She see both a woman with red hair and a girl with LNK blue hair and white eyes as they're holding each other very close, and she thinks, "I think I will take them for my own as one is a Hyuga, and the other must be an Uzumaki, I think," as she doesn't know much, but that's something for another time, right now she having with Haruko. Haruko is praying that this ends soon. Samui then gives Haruko's a gentle smack with the girl screams louder as they're still having in front of a window which lucky for them, and no one seems to notice of what's going on. Samui keeps thrusting into Haruko with the girl's bounce against the window. Samui grabs Haruko's left cheek, and another hand is still on Haruko's hip as Samui Haruko even more. Samui says, "I love how soft your is, and I want it all for me and me alone," as Haruko screaming even louder. 2 hours later, Haruko is running trying to get out, and Sumui is following her. As Haruko is running, her are bouncing wild as she ran down the hallway as she says, "Stay away Sumui, I have to go home," but then she trips and falls onto the floor, which she's into doggy style position. Sumui catches her and says, "Naughty Haruko, trying to escape from me. It seems you need something." "I know." Sumui grabs her hips and has her at Haruko's asshole, with Haruko gets her eyes to widen, and no, not there. "You already take my first virginity. And now why you're is going to take my other one." Haruko tries to crawl away, but Sumui has a good grip on her. Then the older woman pushes her into Haruko's, with the girl screams out as she feels it. Sumui grunts and says, "Damn, you're is so tight. Just like your." As Sumui begin having her way with Haruko's, with the girl screaming as she doesn't, this is both of them sweating significantly, with Haruko's scream fills the hallway of the house. An hour later, they are in the master bedroom, and Sumui is smiling hearing Haruko scream out, "Yes, more please me. Please don't stop filling my womb with your wonderful warm seed." As she is riding on top of Sumui as they're shaking the bed, as Sumui says, "Yes, I'm not planning to stop Haruko. As you are mine now." As she feeling Haruko's on her as both of them are completely into each other, "Yes Sumui, I belong to you. Please your busty lover more, and please get me pregnant." Haruko screams louder as she moved her hips faster than before, with Sumui smiles as rising, and both of them kisses each deeply. Sumui is thinking, "So I will have more and more women to grope into my heart's content. I love my life." A few minutes later, as Sumui is on her feet while carrying Haruko by holding onto her legs, is the older Fuda woman, the girl, with Haruko coming non-stop as she is screaming, moaning loudly, with the girl shout out, "Please come Sumui, I want your seed in me please." Sumui feels she is about to come, and she says, "As you wish." She comes right into Haruko's, with Haruko screaming to high heaven, but then she feels Sumui thrust into her, with Haruko screams out, "Why you're thrust into me while you're coming Sumui?" As Sumui says, "'Cause you feel too good Haruko. I want to you until we both passed out." As she thrust into Haruko's even more while still coming, Haruko is moaning as her stomach is being inflated by how much cum Sumui is stuffing into her as they keep it even more wildly. An hour later, Haruko is sneaking around with a bag like she is trying to steal things. "Well, what have we here? A little thief that broke into my house." She turns to see Sumui, who is with a hardened as Haruko says, "I thought I was careful." "Well, it does not matter, you will not catch me." She tries to run but is caught by a trap, which Haruko ends trips over and onto the couch. Sumui comes up behind her and grabs her hips. "Oh, wonderful, the thief is bent over ready for me," Sumui said smirking, then thrusts right into the thief's, making her scream as Haruko the thief screams, "No. I have a fiancé at home waiting for me. You can't do this," as she feels Sumui's in her. As Sumui says, "Then you shouldn't have tried to steal from me then." Haruo, the thief, is trying to get away, but Sumui is thrusting into her and says, "I think I will keep you to be my cum dump for the rest of your life. So forget about your fiancé, as this is your life now." With Sumui having her way with the thieves, by thrust into Haruko's wildly, with Haruko screaming loud as she can as she shouted out, "No, never, I love my fiancé, you will never win or get me as a cum dumpster." With Sumui smirks as she Haruko even more. 10 minutes later, as Haruko and Sumui are laying on their sides with Sumui behind Haruko as she thrust her faster into the thieves, "Just surrender and say that you will be my cum dump for the rest of your life," as she Haruko's even more, with Haruko screaming louder, "Never, I will escape and get home to my fiancé," as she felt more of Sumui's move inside of her. Sumui sighs and says, "You don't get it, you're never leaving, this is your life, and you will worship my for the rest of your life," as she thrust into Haruko's even more. Sumui keeps thrusting, then comes into Haruko's saying, "Yes, that is it, get pregnant you cum dump." As Samui comes deep inside of Haruko with the thief scream loud as she can while feeling it. Samui smirks and then makes a hand sign and more of her appears, well let's this come dumpster. The clone smirks as they are hard and ready to with Haruko eyes widen as she says, mercy. An hour later, Haruko is moaning as Samui is her full Nelson sitting on her couch with Haruko's eyes rolling upward as she feels more of Samui's thrust into her. Are you enjoy your life now Haruko the thief, are you ready to give up? As Haruko answers, yes I do so much Samui. Me more. Me with your huge more. Samui smiles and says, I hope you know that you are not going to be my only woman in life, as she Haruko even more as they keep going more and more. 20 minutes later, Haruko is bent over on the table of the dining table with Samui behind her as Samui says, shake that I want to see those cheeks bounce, as Haruko does so while blushing badly as she says, like this. As she shakes her as her plump cheeks begin to bounce, and such a sight is making Samui get more laborious than before, Samui licks her lips and says, just like that now let's hear you beg to be more. Haruko says, please Samui me more, and my missus you're so bad. Please me. I beg of you. Samui then thrusts into Haruko's again making her moan loudly as she screams out, yes. With hearts popping out of her head, like that Samui thrust into Haruko's wildly with both of them enjoying this so much. Samui knows that she will enjoy her new life in Konoha with many women soon as both of them went the whole day of nothing but over. A day later, Samui is taking a shower as she thinking her whole day of with Haruko, who is sleeping on Samui's bed as Haruko's is leaking out so much cum from many rounds of as Samui is thinking about seeing the two, as one of them she knows for sure is a huge but not too sure about the red hair woman. After all Samui has been living in Konoha not that long and thus doesn't know everyone. Samui thinks that they could be next, but first she wants to be found out of how close the two are. An hour later, Samui is walking around Konoha as she is looking for the two, as well asking around and most of the answer was, oh that must be Kushina Uzumaki, but no one had to tell Samui where Kushina lives. Then she sees someone with the same eyes as the woman Kushina was with. As Samui sees that the Hyuga girl seemed to be 18 years old with long ink blue hair with white eyes as she wearing a light purple skirt with no sleeves as it hugging onto her J-cup with shorts and long stocking that covers the rest of the legs which are long and thick with a huge. Next to her is a woman with hair that's longer but red as she wearing a beautiful light red sundress which the top part is hugging onto the red-haired woman's double K. Which she is guessing the red-haired woman is Kushina, and what she had gathered, Kushina is married to a man who's rarely home as he's away on missions which are long terms. Samui just shakes her head and says in her head, what a idiot to leave his hot wife by himself and what's more, why do these two look like they are leaving from a date? As she quietly follows them. A bit later, after following the two, she finds himself outside of what Samui is guessing Kushina's home, which seems to be a lovely looking house. Samui heads to the window quietly, and the window belongs to the bedroom as she sees. Inside the room, the two walks in as the red-haired woman, named Kushina Uzumaki as she says, finally, just us, Hinata, as the Hyuga girl named Hinata nods as she is blushing, yes, as the two layers into each other and begin to kiss each other. Samui smirks now knowing that Kushina is cheating on her husband, and she will make their two hers, but for now, she's going to enjoy the show. Starts. As both the older woman and the young girl making out as they're kissing each other deeply while they're moaning Kushina grabs Hinata's making her moan even more as their kiss off the kiss, how badly do you want to do it Hinata? As she looked into Hinata's eyes as Hinata answers, badly Kushina please ravish me. Kushina answers, then tear off my sundress Hinata and let's do it like wild animals. Hinata does just that and Samui thinks, oh that's hot, as she sees Hinata tear Kushina's sundress in half and it seems that Kushina wasn't wearing a bra and panties under the dress. Samui thinks, I can't wait to the Uzumaki into along with the Hyuga. Then Hinata goes for Kushina's, and the Uzumaki woman moans as she feels her Hyuga lover licking onto her as she moans out, "Oh Hinata, yes like that, lick my massive tits more," as she blushing badly. With Hinata licking Kushina's while groping them, Kushina reaches down and moves her hand under Hinata's shorts, then cups Hinata's womanhood. Hinata stops licking as she moans loudly, "You like that don't you my lovely Hyuga?" says Kushina as Hinata answers, "Why yes so much Kushina," as she kisses Kushina, which both of them moves toward the bed while kissing each other deeply. Soon enough they fall onto the bed as Hinata breaks off the kiss and begin to undo her clothes, but Kushina helps with that and gropes her as both looking at each other lovely as both of them start to kiss each other again. Kushina has her tongue invade Hinata's mouth, and Hinata welcomes it as they're holding each other close while kissing each other more. Soon enough, both Kushina and Hinata are in the 69 positions with Kushina on top as the Uzumaki woman is licking deeply of the Hyuga girls while the Hyuga girl is doing the same with the Uzumaki woman's while shaking Kushina's gigantic fat. Both are moaning Kushina loudly, then give Hinata's a squeeze. Kushina stops with her lips covered in juice. "Yes Hinata, lick me deeper, lick my more," as she moans loudly as Hinata does so as Kushina resumes licking Hinata's. They speed up licking each other's as well, moaning louder with both of them are so into each other. Soon enough both of them change position with Kushina laying on her back with Hinata in front of Kushina and places her wet against Kushina's and begin rubbing her against Kushina's as both of them moan very loud with Hinata moans out, "Oh yes Kushina more," as Kushina moaning loudly as she moans, "Oh Hinata, oh yes. Move like that more." They're keep like this as they're slowly building up lust with them moaning louder while saying, "Yes," over and over again as they're loving this so much. They keep it then they both come together as they're moan out each other's names, Hinata. Kushina moans, Kushina. Hinata moans as they're stop with them blushing badly as they're breathing hard with their tongues hanging out of their mouths. Kushina then leans in and kisses Hinata on the lips, and Hinata kisses back as they moan loudly. After 10 minutes of kissing, Kushina goes grabs something under the bed and brings out a strap on as she says, "Last time I do you, so it's your turn to do me Hinata." Hinata nods and puts it on and thrusts into Kushina's as they're doing it in the doggy style position as Hinata thrusts the strap deeply into Kushina's with the Uzumaki woman moaning wildly as she moaned out, "I love you," over and over again with each time Hinata thrust the strap on into Kushina's as it leaking out so much juice. Hinata squeezes Kushina's as both of them covered in sweat as there have been at it for a bit as Hinata says, "Kushina," over and over again as she thrust into Kushina's even more with the strap on. Hinata has caused Kushina to come 5 times already with the Uzumaki moaning wildly as she loved it so much as she says, "Me more Hinata." As Hinata thrust the strap on even more into Kushina's. Soon enough, now Hinata has Kushina on her with the Uzumaki woman's back against the Hyuga girl's chest while Hinata is holding onto Kushina's legs as she Kushina's even more as both of them are soaked with sweat and love. Kushina then pulls Hinata into a kiss with hearts popping out of both of them as they're keep at it even more. 10 minutes later, Kushina is bent over the bed with Hinata behind as Kushina says, "Hinata," with hearts in her eyes. Hinata smacks Kushina's making her moan loudly as Hinata thrusts the strap on into Kushina's with Kushina moans out, "Oh yes my naughty cheating," as Hinata begins to thrust into Kushina's wildly. "As you wish and you will receive," says Hinata as she thrust faster into Kushina's even more as the two are entirely into each other as they're shaking the bed wildly. 5 hours later, Kushina falls onto the bed followed by Hinata as she lands on Kushina as they're breathing hard while blushing badly. "That was amazing Hinata," says Kushina. Hinata answer, "You as well Kushina," as the two kissed each other deeply. Then they hear, "Well what have we here, a cheating wife who is having with other woman behind her husband back," as they're turned to see Samui which to them, the woman from Kumo, as Kushina says while holding onto Hinata tightly as she says, what do you want? As Hinata can't believe they got caught after being so careful of their one-year hidden relationship, Samui smirks and says, oh, I can think of something easy, both of you. Both looks at each other with Kushina put Hinata behind her and says, no, there's no way, as Samui says, but I didn't finish, I will keep this secret to myself and let you two still being lovers, but you will be part of my harem. Kushina says, leave Hinata out of, Samui cuts in, if you don't do as I say, I wonder what will everyone will say if theirs found out that Kushina is a cheating wife and I can't say what there will say about your lover. Kushina is gritting her teeth, fine, but I will be the first got it, but Samui stops her. Sorry but I want both of you, says Samui as she began removing her clothes as she is thinking, not what I had thought would happen. When she is done they are shocked at seeing Samui with and it's massive. Both of them blushing badly with Kushina saying, she's bigger than my husband, as Hinata shyly says, ANO of our toys. Samui smirks and says, it is something the Cage clan has, it is rare, but it happens every 5 generations or so, as both the Uzumaki woman and Hyuga girl look at it then each other as they ask her this, can we get a mold of it? Samui is surprised by the question, then you would have to explain how you got one this big, Samui asks. They are about to answer then stop and think then say, good point, then Hinata remember, oh what about that thing you used to copy your husband's? As Kushina recognizes as she runs out then comes back in sex as she holding an item that could mold anything into something such as a molding to make a strap on. Okay you ladies can that but later for sure, who wants to lick my? And Kushina starts to lick her with Hinata next to Kushina as Samui is moaning loudly. Samui has her hands on their heads, that is it lick my like a lollipop, with Kushina licking Samui's more with Hinata looking like she wants to join in. Samui is moaning as she loves this so much, Kushina licking Samui's more than she notices Hinata starting with her lightly biting onto her finger. Samui moans, and Kushina takes her into her mouth. Now Samui's is being sucked by the Uzumaki woman with the Hyuga girl looking as she says, I want to join in, as she keeps looking. Samui then motions Hinata to come to her, and Hinata does, but she finds Samui kissing her and grabbing her while Hinata is blushing badly as she kissed back while Kushina is sucking Samui's even more. Samui then feels something and knows she is about to come, but Kushina stops as she takes out Samui's from her mouth. Hinata breaks the kiss and gets on her knees and starts sucking Samui's, with Hinata moaning loudly as Samui moans louder. Damn both of you naughty girls have warm mouths, Samui moans as Hinata takes out Samui's and now both Kushina and Hinata licking sides of Samui's followed by kissing it with Samui's in between. Samui is enjoying this and thinks, maybe I should have someone on one time with them in the future cause they're so amazing together. Samui moaning more as she feels them sucking onto the sides of her as the two keep it more and more until, finally Samui comes with both of them in front of it, they both get covered by her warm cum as well getting some in their mouths. Samui says, you two are amazing, they are licking the cum off of each other, as they're moaning while licking each other until both of them began to make out a bit. Samui then thinks and smirks, oh girls I want both of you on your hands and knees as I want to one then the other. As Kushina says, well I know a trick for you to both of us, as she does move to Samui's and places a seal on it and with a simple tap, a second appeared next to the first one. Samui smirks, Kushina on your back Hinata lay on your front on Kushina I am about to the naughty Uzumaki and Hyuga, but before that, Kushina says, I will give you the seal later, as both Kushina and Hinata get into position, such a sight for Samui is making her become way harder than before. Samui is behind them and grabs Hinata's and thrusts her into there and both Kushina and Hinata scream on top of their lungs as they're holding onto each other. Samui grits her teeth and says, damn you two bitches are tight. How big is your cuck of a husband, Kushina? As she feels how insanely tight the two are, as Kushina answers, he's only 5 inches. Damn, that is pathetic. I wonder what he would say if he came home to me his cheating wife in front of him. Teased Samui as Kushina screams louder along with Hinata as they're bouncing against each other. Samui then smacks Hinata's, making her scream even louder as both Hinata and Kushina kiss back while holding onto each other with Samui them even more. An hour later, Samui is Kushina with both in her and Hinata is in the same position but with a clone, and it sees that the seal that Kushina placed on Samui also effect on Samui's clone, as both Samui and her clone are the Uzumaki woman, and the Hyuga girl roughly with them scream out of how much they start loving this. Samui is smirking as she plans to break these women for life, only wanting her, as both Samui thrust their deeply into Kushina's and Hinata's holes, as both of them screaming loud as they can with their bouncing for each thrust Samui and her clone make. Samui asks, "Oh Kushina, and I have to ask, are you an Uzumaki?" Kushina nods, and Samui says, "Well, it seems I have made an Uzumaki submit to my." "Oh, I will enjoy you, stupid." As Kushina screams as she shouts out, "Then you better have long latest stamina because I have so much of it. And the same goes for Hinata after all, and I made her like that." "Yes," shouts Hinata, and Samui smirk then say, "Soon both the Uzumaki clan and the Hyuga clan will belong to me," as her and her clone keep going even more. 2 hours later, Samui is laying on her back with Kushina sitting on her face while Hinata is riding her like there's no tomorrow. Both girls are moaning like a horny woman and are enjoying what Samui is doing to them as Kushina moans out, "She's so good, Hinata. We truly need to get a molded copy of her." As Hinata shout out with her bouncing, "Why yes we should, Kushina. It is too big to pass up." Samui is thinking in her mind, "Good, the more they each other with the copy, the more they want my," as she is licking Kushina's wet. Kushina is moaning as Samui keeps licking, and Hinata is bouncing on her as all three of them went on for hours. In fact, there went on for a week. A week later. Over. Samui is tired but satisfied while relaxing in the Uzumaki pool with Hinata and Kushina, and all three of them are while Hinata is swimming, and Kushina says, "Well Samui, it seems you can keep up with us. Wonderful, so when can we make a mold of your?" As Samui smiles, "Very well, as I need a break, and also how long have you two been at this?" Kushina thinks then says, "About a year now actually. It turns out Hinata had a crush on me." Samui nods and asks, "So if I see either you or Hinata alone, am I allowed to bend you over and you stupid?" Hinata says as she swims up to them, "Well, maybe cause you to know sometimes we have to set in teams after all." Samui nods and says, "I agree, plus I do like having one-on-one time really, as Kushina, but we love three-way better." Samui says, "Well, we can't always do a three-way, Kushina. Yes, they are fun, but my stamina is not up there yet, okay?" As she bit embarrassed about it, "I'm guessing you were a virgin not that long ago," says Kushina, "and I can also guess you just lost it a week ago." Samui nods and says, "Yes, so please give me a bit of time." Kushina stop her, "Oh no, not time, more like a train, and you come to the right woman after all. When we began, Hinata could barely last in bed with me and now she's on pair with me, so are you free from missions?" 2 months actually. Why? Samui asks as Kushina with Hinata giggles, "Simple, within a month, we are going to improve your stamina." Samui, says Kushina as Samui thinking, this either a good thing or bad thing, cause there too will work me to the bone. A month later. After a long month of training to improve Samui's stamina, and both Kushina and Hinata work Samui not just in, also physical workout, Samui can now go longer, as Samui is heading toward training grounds as she's about that she has given a week off of training, while Samui remembers of what she has gone through. First week as was Kushina to learn and working out, Then the second week core strengthening is well anal. And finally the last week was with both of them, and did their work Samui out, but in the end, Samui is able to go on much more than before but still has more, but for now she's on break. Samui is going for a walk as Kushina and Hinata are doing something. Then remembers that Kushina's husband is on his way home today and going to stay for a week, then goes on other long-term mission. Samui understands why Kushina hasn't gotten a child or children for that matter. Her husband is such a workaholic, leaving poor Kushina by herself. Samui gets out of her thoughts as she sees that not only she arrived but not alone. She's a woman who kinda looks Kushina but not really, as she does have long red hair like Uzumaki, but this woman seems more serious. What's more, she's about to get into the water of the lake of the training grounds. The woman has an hourglass figure with triple L cup and a plump with long, thick legs. Samui says to herself, damn, she's drop dead gorgeous. I wonder if she wants company. I know you are there, come on out, says the woman who is testing the water. Samui is surprised by this as she says, how did you? The woman answers, well, I'm a member of the Uzumaki clan and some of us can sense other people's chakra after all, and also, Kushina told me that you were coming here. Samui nods in understanding as Samui is thinking, Kushina told this woman about me. Why? As she comes up to the woman, Samui is liking what she is seeing. Now she's in front of the woman. So who are you anyway, Miss Uzumaki? My name is Mito Uzumaki, and would you like to join me for a swim? Samui shrugs as she begins to remove her clothes but stops. Wait, won't someone see? Mito cuts her off. I put up a barrier seal so no one can see us at all, so they won't try to pull anything on us. Samui nods as she resumed taking off her clothes until she's as Mito, who had entered the water. Samui smirks and enters right behind Mito as Mito is checking the blonde woman out as she thinking, it's huge. Samui comes closer to Mito and asks, so is the Uzumaki having naughty plans for me? Then Mito places her finger on Samui's lip and says, we will see, then swims away. Samui smirks and as their swim there are floating, their swim for a bit, until Samui, who is relaxing as Mito swims by, she grabs Mito's leg and pulls Mito to her. Then after Mito is in her arms, Samui whispers, I have had it, you tease, it is time to my next Uzumaki wam. She feels another finger place on her lips. Not yet, dear. Wait a bit more, says Mito as she smiles as she swims away. Samui is not happy but starts to plan and dive under, but for each try Samui makes, Mito stops her and swims away, thus tasting Samui even more. But little did Samui know, that's how Mito likes it, tease them until the time is right. But then Mito is pulled under, and Samui has her with Mito's arms bound, but Mito somehow gets away from Samui while Samui is thinking, I don't know how much longer I can keep up with this game of hers. 20 minutes later, after a while of swimming, Mito gets out of the water and sits on the side as she sees Samui coming up to her as she's out of the water too. Then when Samui gets there, she grabs Mito and throws her over her shoulder with her arms at her side. Finally, I have the Uzumaki tease. She gives Mito as a smack on the, making her cheeks bounce as Mito says, oh I know, 'cause I had enough games, as she smirks. Samui smirks and says, yes, the games are done and you're mine now, as she places Mito against the tree which Mito's bounce like. Mito grabs them and says, well, big girl, come and get me. Starts. It didn't take long for Samui to begin making out sincerely with Mito. Samui is also groping Mito's, making her moan into the kiss, and Samui uses this to have her tongue go into Mito's mouth. The Uzumaki woman thinks, oh, Kushina taught her well, I wonder what else she knows. Samui then thrusts her right into Mito's, with Samui thinking, soon Mito will be nothing more than my Uzumaki cum dump, as she breaks off the kiss and grabs both of Mito's legs and hold her in the air with Mito screams out, oh shit, it has been so long since I have had it in me. Samui says, and with your teasing and getting away from me, you made me too damn hard. That's why I'm going to break your Mito. And make you think only of my. Oh my, it seems I awoke something I shouldn't have. Said Mito, and Samui increase her speed saying, you will move into my place and be my cum dump maid, with Mito screaming loud with her might, with her bouncing wildly as she shouts out, yes, over and over again as the two begin have a very lust-filled. Samui is thrusting into Mito saying, I will keep you in my house for the rest of time. I will you every day like your husband should have done with this body, as she is moving her hips like crazy as she thrust into Mito even more, with Mito herself screaming as she loves this so much as she never been like this before, and she shouts it out, yes. Me harder. My late husband never me like this. You're so good. Samui smirks, knowing that Mito will be hers for life. Which is why I'm allowing you to go after my granddaughter and great-granddaughter. Mito shouts with Samui, asks, what do you mean? With her thrust deeper into Mito's, my granddaughter Tsunade and her daughter Erotica. Mito shouted again. Samui is happier than before. An hour later, both Samui and Mito are on the ground with Mito on all fours, with Samui thrust deeply into Mito's, with the Uzumaki woman screaming out, yes you horny Uzumaki cum dump more. Oh, Kami, you're so good. Kushina trained you well. Samui smirks and says, good as I am training you to be my cum dump with. This is your job now, being my cum dump, as she thrusts into Mito's even more, with so much juice flowing out of Mito's as the two go at it like crazy. Mito knows that no matter what happens she now belongs to Samui, as both of them went on their lustful filled. Soon enough, their switch positions, with Mito now on Samui's lap while the blonde woman is on the ground and holding onto the Uzumaki woman's fat plump. I love this my Uzu, that is it keeps bouncing on my making those bounce, says Samui. Mito is screaming louder with her bouncing onto Samui's more and more, not caring of what Samui is saying, and Samui realizes this, so she lets it go as she rather enjoys this without talking after all. A few minutes later, Mito is being like no tomorrow, and her are in Samui's hands, with Samui thrust her rougher and harder with each thrust Samui makes. Mito is slowly agreeing to be Samui's woman from now on as they keep going. Even more, Samui is enjoying her Uzu woman like no tomorrow. Until Samui comes deep inside of Mito's, filling up Mito's womb with so much of it as the Uzumaki woman scream at the top of her lungs as she cum, as well as both shouts out, coming. Samui keeps thrusting into Mito, with Mito screaming more. After a while of coming, Mito is bent over plump. Please Samui-sama, my mark, it is yours. My ex was never able to handle it as a dominate should, says Mito, who is blushing so wicked while she's sweating and her is leaking out Samui's seed. Samui plays her between Mito's cheeks as she says, oh I will your like it should be. She readjusts her and place it against Mito's asshole and push it inside. Mito starts letting out screams as she shouts, so rough and hard. Samui smacks one of Mito's cheeks. Mito moans, screams upon that. Samui says, I love this tight, it is all mine now. But damn this and is tight, with her keep pushing in her inside of Mito's. Then Samui grabs both cheeks of Mito and there jiggle upon her grabbing. Mito is screaming, and Samui asks, is this why you were teasing me? Mito answers, yes, cause I love doing that as well, making your get so hard. Naughty Uzumaki, and now you going to be stupid by me, says Samui, who squeeze Mito's with the Uzumaki woman moans, and I don't want it any oh Kami. Couldn't finish because Samui begins going wild on her. Samui is going all out on Mito's with her thrusts. Mito screams louder for each thrust that Samui makes. Mito is thinking, she's so good. My more. As she screams even louder while her bouncing like crazy, Samui does just that and is Mito like no tomorrow, as both of them sweating tons. Samui then turns Mito's head and kisses her on the lips as the two share a heated kiss while Samui thrust her even more. Time skip, a bit after sunset. To Mito as the Uzumaki woman is holding onto the tree while her feet not touching the ground as they're being owned by Samui who thrust her two into Mito's and at the same time, let me guess you never thought this would ever happen. Says Samui, Mito screaming more as she shouts out, never. 'Cause this is the first I have with someone who can bring forth the second. You can thank Kushina for the seal to give me a second, says Samui as she thrust her even more with both of them sweating so much, and what's more there had lost track of time until Samui notices the sun's position. Should we take this further to my place Mito? Since it's night time, as she Mito's holes even more. Yes, take me to my new home please Samui, says Mito with Samui smirking as she is thinking a way of how to though. Time skip 3 days later. Over. Samui wakes up as she finds herself in bed with Mito sleeping next to her. Samui smiles knowing Mito is now hers, and she kisses Mito on the forehead and say, am I? To time to get up. Mito moves a bit with a smile as she's sleeping more. As Samui decides to leave her be, Samui gets dressed and heads downstairs to the kitchen and starts to make herself some breakfast. 30 minutes later. After Samui is finished her breakfast, she hears someone coming down the steps and turns to see her Mito who is walking with a limp. Samui smiles and says, good morning my Uzumaki woman. And Mito responds with, good morning Samui. And both of them share a kiss, then Mito asks, so what do you made? As she sees eggs, bacon, and toast. No nothing special, says Samui. Both of them eat while talking with Mito asking of what Samui is going to do next. Samui says that since Kushina is away on a mission while Hinata most likely is doing the same or at her home, and Haruko is busy with training, not only that, Samui is on break from missions. With that Samui looks at Mito but before Samui could ask, sorry but I have something to do with my granddaughter Samui, said Mito as she eating with Samui, what should I do then? Well my neighbor has 2 daughters, both very gorgeous, says Mito as Samui says, bet both have lovers or boyfriend. Oh dear they are each other's lovers, says Mito. Samui looks at her with a brow raised, really now this is interesting where are they but also, how do you know that? Asks Samui. Oh simple, theirs forget to cover up the window, and their bedroom is next to mine. Samui smirks. Oh is my naughty Uzumaki getting off at watching others go at it, as Mito blushes, oh stop it Samui. Samui gets up and goes to Mito and whispers, maybe I should have you tied up to have you watch me them both would you like that? Mito blush more as she wants that to happen but, another time Samui, for now, I need to head out. She gets up, gives Samui a heated kiss then gets her clothes then head out. Samui go put on clothes, as well asking for where Mito lives, she wants to meet there too. Later at Mito Uzumaki's home. Samui appeared at the home of her newest lover, and Samui has to say, Mito's house is charming, I am surprised you don't live in a compound Mito. Samui said to herself as she walks inside since she can't enter Mito's neighbor's house after all. Samui thinks of what she should do. Samui makes her way to Mito's room. Good thing it didn't take long as Samui was able to find it. Once Samui enters and when she looked out the window, what she sees is very hot. Starts. Next door. In the house of Mito's neighbor, a bedroom, there are 2 women. One has long red hair with curves that whole class of its own with triple J and her is something else. And she's holding onto her sister who has long pink hair with double J and bigger plump than her sisters and both of them making out sincerely. Samui is thinking, oh wow, and if I remember right, Mito the red hair one is Jessica and the other is Shirahoshi and they're not by blood. As she sees Jessica reaches and grabs her sisters, as both of them kissing each other more, not knowing that they're being watched. Samui decides to enjoy the show as she began to remove her clothes then lays onto the bed and started to stroke her. Oh this is good, but I think one at a time would be wonderful but then again maybe do both of them. Oh decisions, says Samui in her mind. Jessica breaks off the kiss and says, "How badly do you want it, Shirahoshi?" As she groped her sisters, "So badly, Oni-sama," says Shirahoshi as she moaning with her, feeling her older sister's hand on her. Jessica smirks and says, "Good, 'cause I plan to give it to you hard." Jessica starts licking Shirahoshi's neck, which makes the long pink-haired girl moan loudly with a blush form on her face. Samui is stroking her even faster as she thinking that this is so hot as she sees Jessica pushes Shirahoshi to fall on her back with the long pink-haired girl says, "Oni-sama," with Jessica spreads Shirahoshi's legs and hold them in place as she places her face onto Shirahoshi's and begin eating out of her as Jessica's is hanging in the air. Shirahoshi is moaning like a whore who is getting it right from her sister, with Jessica licking Shirahoshi's more, with the long pink-haired girl moaning like crazy as she keeps saying, "Oni-sama," over and over again as her is leaking out so much juice for each passing sec. Jessica is thinking, "That is right, you belong to your Oni-sama," as she's sucking Shirahoshi's a bit, then goes back licking it. Shirahoshi is losing it badly, but then she hears, "Shirahoshi, will you eat out of Oni-sama's while I do the same with yours?" says Jessica, who has her above Shirahoshi's face, and Shirahoshi does as ordered as she says, "Why yes, oh Oni-sama." Now both sisters are eating each other's like there's no tomorrow as they're moaning loudly as they're licking each other more, while Samui is thinking, "I want them so badly," as she just cum her first load of cum of the day as she keeps stroking her more as she enjoys the show even more. While the sisters are still in 69 position, which is their second favorite position, as they're licking each other more and more, then Jessica stops and says, "Let's get right to it," with Shirahoshi saying, "Why yes, oh Oni-sama." Both get off of each other, then Jessica puts her against Shirahoshi's as both sisters look at each other. "Shirahoshi," says Jessica. "Oni-sama," says Shirahoshi, and both of them start rubbing against each and they start moaning together with their bouncing. Samui is thinking, "I want those wrapped around my soon," as she stroked her like crazy. Jessica and Shirahoshi are close to coming as they keep it more and more as sweat began to form on their bodies, which makes them look than before as both Jessica and Shirahoshi shout out as they're come together, "I am coming to Oni-sama, Shirahoshi," as both squirt out so much juice as both sisters moan loudly as Samui comes for second or third time. An hour later, Shirahoshi is moaning, bouncing on her sister's lap with a strap on going into her while her is jigging like crazy, with Jessica says, "Don't you love our sister bonding, Shirahoshi?" "Yes, Oni-sama," says Shirahoshi, who bouncing onto Jessica's strap on like there's no tomorrow. Jessica caught Shirahoshi's left with her mouth. Jessica starts to suck on it, making Shirahoshi moan loudly. Then Jessica lets go and red lip marks are on Shirahoshi's. In fact, Shirahoshi is covered by them. "Oh, I love my submission, little sister. So willing to have with me," says Jessica, with Shirahoshi moving her hips more and more, with the long pink-haired girl moaning more as she moans out, "Yes, for you, Oni-sama." Jessica smacks Shirahoshi's plump. The long pink-haired pink moans upon that as she says, "One-sama," as Jessica thrusts the strap faster. Shirahoshi's soaking wet, as both of them say, "Shirahoshi," and "Oni-sama," over and again as they're completely drunk by their lust for each other. They are both moaning loudly. A couple of hours later, Shirahoshi falls onto Jessica's as both of them breathing hard while blushing badly. Jessica says, "That was amazing, Shirahoshi." "It was Oni-sama," says Shirahoshi as the two kisses each other. Then they hear, "Mind if I join?" as a voice asks, and both stepsisters jump up and see Samui as Jessica holds onto Shirahoshi as she says, "Who are you? And how did you get in?" As she noticed that Samui doesn't have any clothes on, the window, and luckily there was a tree covering me and no one noticed me, Samui explained to them. As Shirahoshi says, "Oh Oni-sama she has AA," as she blushing so bad, Jessica looks and sees Samui's and begin blushing as well. Samui smirks as she knows that she got them. 20 minutes later, Shirahoshi is being in the inn by Samui while she is licking her Onisamas with Jessica moaning like crazy as she moans, "It's so hot seeing my sister being by a feuda woman who can make too." Samui smirks and says, "Then I hope I can you both into joining my harem girls, I would love to have you," as she thrust her deeply into the bombshell of pink hair girls and as she licking Jessica's deeper. Jessica stutters out, "Me g good W with my sister T then W we will talk," as she about to come, and the same goes for Shirahoshi as she saying, "Oni-sama," while licking Jessica's. Samui smirks and says, "Very well, I might having you both call me Samui-sama soon." 40 minutes later. "Samui-sama," shouts Shirahoshi, who has her sister on top of her, with both of their being and Jessica's being smacked by Samui, with Samui enjoying both sisters as she thinking, "They're mine now." Samui increases her thrusting speed as both sisters scream louder as they're bouncing like crazy, as all three of them sweating significantly. 3 hours later. Samui is having her way with Shirahoshi while Jessica is laying on the bed as she is using the strap on as she moves it in and out of her as she says, "Who do you like, Shirahoshi?" "Oni-sama and Samui-sama." Shirahoshi shouted, with Samui grabs her and kisses her deeply. Shirahoshi moaned into the kiss, and Samui has her tongue invade her mouth as the two are into each other genuinely. Jessica stops, then gets off of the bed as she goes over and squeezing Shirahoshi's, as she joined the kiss, then feels Samui reach out and squeeze her, making her moan as they're licking each other's tongues, with their pushing against. Samui then breaks it and says, "Get ready, Shirahoshi, I am going to come into your." Shirahoshi is screaming more as she is going so crazy as Jessica licking her stepsister's neck, as Samui comes intensely into Shirahoshi's holes and the long pink-haired girl screams atop of her lungs. An hour later. Shirahoshi is laying on the bed as she passed out, with gallons upon gallons of cum leaking out of her, and Samui is thrusting into Jessica's, making her moan like a brothel worker, and her tongue is hanging out as they're doing it in front of the passed out Shirahoshi as they're go at more. As they went on for the whole day and the next and so on. In fact, they didn't stop until 4 days later. Over 4 days later. Samui is heading home as she feels so tired. Damn, their sisters really drain. Well, good thing I'm heading home and get myself rested before. As she opens the door of her home, but, "Hello Samui, I heard you were with the daughters of Mito's neighbors," says Kushina, who is standing in front of Samui, who sees Kushina inside of her house. "Hi Kushina, I didn't expect you to be back so soon," says Samui. Kushina nods in understanding and says, "Yes, my stupid husband left for another mission as soon I returned from mine own, so now I have free time, and why not I train you in stamina training," as the red hair Uzumaki licks her lips, with Samui thinking with a deadpan face, "She's going to kill me with." Kushina stop, give Samui a break, this is a day to get to know her more, not her to death. Said Mito as she comes up from behind of Samui as Kushina says, "Oh okay, you win Mito." Samui is thinking, "I'm safe for now." As all of them went to the kitchen to have a sweet talk of getting to know each other better. As Samui's love life just beginning. Jessica is moaning as Samui is her, "Oh I love your Jessica, are you enjoying my?" Samui asks as Jessica answers by shouting out, "Yes, so much. Please my with it more." Samui keeps thrusting into Jessica, making her moan even louder as they rock the bed hard. Then the door opens and behind it is Mito as she lays against the entrance and says, "Having fun Samui?" With her hand on her hip, which showing off her curves, Samui smirks and says, "When I am my girls I am always having fun." As Mito says, "Makes sense, but have you been doing your training to make yourself last longer?" "I have Mito, I know, and I am still working on it." As she thrust her into Jessica's as she going crazy with lust, Mito nods and says, "Well, I am going to help you with stamina training today since Kushina and Hinata are still away on missions." As Samui says, "But." "No buts Samui, okay, we are doing this to help you." After all, me and Kushina are Uzumaki and you may want to be able to keep up with us or else you will lose us as your lovers, Mito said. Samui sighs and comes into Jessica making her moan and pass out. I understand Mito, as Mito comes up to Samui while undressing herself. A few minutes later, both Samui and Mito are making while Mito is stroking Samui's as Mito break off the kiss as she says, "Keep it in, Samui, I know you want to come but you have to keep it in." "You are so cruel, Mito-chan," said Samui as she making whining sounds as she wants to come so bad, but she is not coming at all yet as the training is working as Mito smiles as she says, "Don't worry, you get your payback once you least for 3 hours of no coming." Samui keeps herself from coming as she moaning like crazy with tears in her eyes as she saying, "Gee, good cause I'm going to your for this, Mito-chan." Mito smirks and speeds up the movements of her hand as Samui moaning louder by the sec as her is getting thicker with peens appearing all over as it wants to release all the build-up cum but Sammy is holding it as best as she can. Mito gives Samui a couple of kisses on the side of Samui's face. Samui is holding strong even from this as Mito giggles a bit as she says, "You look so cute, Samui." Samui keeps holding strong as she moans more. Mito is giggling as Samui is still holding strong as she says, "I'm glad to see that you are holding on, Samui, and I can't wait for you my with that build up cum in your." Samui is looking at Mito with eyes saying that her will be sore big time. 3 hours later, Samui is laying on her back as she panting hard with her twitching non-stop as Mito who next to Samui's as she says, "Oh, you want to come so badly as you have been holding it in for 6 hours," as she blows softly on Samui's, and Samui's is unbelievably sensitive. Samui is so ready to just Mito's red as Mito says, "Hold on a bit, Samui, let me get the lube." Samui is very impotent right now as Mito right away gets the lube as it under Samui's bed. Mito is bent over then lets out an eep as Samui grabs both of her ass cheeks and squeezes them. "No time for lube. As I'm going you're now." As she thrust her into Mito's hard. Mito's eyes widen and she lets out a scream. "That is it, you naughty teasing bitch, this is where you belong, on your hands and knees getting your by me," said Samui as she wildly Mito's as Mito screaming with her eyes rolling up. Samui smacks Mito's making it jiggle more and Mito screams more, "Let me hear it, Mito, who do you belong with only?" As she hammering her into Mito's like there is no tomorrow as Mito screaming as she shouts out, "You, I belong with you, please my more, I love having you in my fat ass," as hearts popping out of her head. Samui smirks knowing that Mito is her woman and no pathetic man will ever touch her while slamming her deeper into Mito's more as they go crazy with lust. Samui is thrusting so much into Mito's that she is enjoying the plushy soft with Mito screaming louder as both begin to sweat. 30 minutes later, both Samui and Mito are off the bed as Mito has her face against the wall, and Samui keeps thrusting into Mito making her moan loudly with her tongue hanging out of her mouth as Samui thrust her madly into Mito's as Samui saying, "I just love your. I won't mind it all day long." Mito moans and says, "P please my A as W well," as Samui says, "Sorry but I said I would your." Mito whines as Mito wants her too. As Samui keeps thrust her into Mito's even more than before, Samui comes right into Mito's with Mito feeling a massive wave of cum flowing inside of her as Mito shouts out, "Oh shit, you were holding all of that in." As a small bulge forms on her stomach then it gets bigger as more cum keeps getting pumped in. After seem like forever, Samui stops coming as the blonde woman is panting and the same goes for Mito as they're still in the same position, as Samui isn't moving her as Mito says, more please be but do it in my puss," she resumes screaming as she feels Samui resumes her once again. No p please spare my. Mito shouted as she feels more of Samui's in her as Samui bucking her hips to move faster than before. Samui also give Mito's cheeks a smack with Mito moans loudly upon that as Samui slamming into Mito's with no mercy. Mito is now moaning like a call girl or a stripper being hard. 3 hours later. Mito is still being in jackhammer position as Samui is still having her way with Mito's as Mito has her eyes rolling upward. She is thinking, Samui has been training and is tiring me out, good. As she screams more while feeling Samui's in her. Samui keeps thrusting into her Uzu lover more, as both are going crazy than ever before. Mito is losing her mind very badly as Samui says, do you love having my in your Mito? As she thrust into her even more, yes. Shouts Mito as Samui smirks as she keeps Mito's even more. Couple hours later. Samui and Mito are in doggy style with Jessica as licking Mito's soaking wet. Samui is thrusting into Mito's more as Jessica licking Mito's more, thus Mito is going crazy with lust and love as she enjoying this so much. Jessica is enjoying licking Mito's while Samui keeps thrust into Mito's. Mito is moaning as they keep going. Then an hour later. Over. Samui stops Mito's and Mito is tired as well as Samui falls onto her as her is pulled out of Mito's as Mito is panting hard and the same goes Jessica as Mito says, why you have kept up your training and have tired me out Samui g good job. As her is leaking out so much cum as Samui says, g good a and when Kushina and Hinata return, oh I'm going to give it to them, Mito shivers as Jessica asks, I guess why you're out of steam s Samui. Samui answers, why yeah, so I'm going to sleep for now. As Jessica nods as all three went to sleep. The next day, Samui is on her way to do a B rank mission around the village as she wondered why cleaning dog kennels are B ranks. As she heading there, upon arriving at the home of the Inazaka clan, Samui sees the clan head of the Inazaka clan at the front, and she has to say. The woman is hot piece, as the woman has spiky brown with red fangs tattoos on her cheek, as she wearing the everyday Junin outfit is it fitting her very nice and tight is it hugging her double J and her huge plump in her thick legs, she wants to her so badly, Sum sees Samui and says, oh you must be the one who ACC pet the mission huh? Yeah I am. My name is Samui, said Samui as Sum cheeks her out and says, well I have to say Samui, you're quite a looker. Samui smiles then Sum says, beware of my son as he will hit on you like crazy. At that Samui snorts and says, he can try and get me into bed. But I am into women. A lot more fun than perverts like your son, as Sum says, that's good to hear. Samui giggles and says, well I better get to work as I have worked with animals before, as Sum tells her to follow her as both make their way to the kennels. Samui is enjoying watching Sum's bounce for each step she makes while Sum doesn't notice as she is humming a bit. Well hello beautiful, said a guy named Kiba as he making a move on Samui as Samui has a deadpan look as she says, sorry but I don't date guys as I only date girls and women. Come on babe don't be like that once you get a taste of this alpha male you will never want to go back, said Kiba in a what he thinks is a charming voice. Samui looks at him for a second then she kicks him right in the hurts, and make it really hurt, she adds lighting chakra into her kick. Kiba screams like in a high-pitched scream as he will be pissing blood for a long time. He may also never have kids ever. Sum sees this and starts laughing at her son's dismay as she says, oh I always knew this would happen to him. Samui says, you really should not have tried those moves, as I have castrated men before. As Kiba is on the floor while holding his manhood in pain as he stays there is there nothing else he could. Samui snorts and says, I hope you have another child besides the biggest disappointment that is on the ground in front of me. Sum says, oh you mean my eldest and only daughter Hannah. She's the one I'm real proud of. Samui says, I might like to meet her as she has my respect putting up with a shit like this brat. As Sum says, oh you don't know the half of it, as in fact, their resume walking, he truly believes that he was going to be the next head clan leader when I stepped down but that ain't happening. As they walk down the hall as their voices are slowly fading away. Really your daughter is next in line and he is not the oldest. said Sumui as they're close to the kennels. Sum says, he's also an idiot, said Sum, and Sumui says, oh, that I know just by looking at him. As both arrived at the kennel, Sumui sees that it's completed mess as she says, I can see why you place a mission for this. Sum nods, not happy about this at all. Yeah, I know, which I do, thank you for accepting it by the way, said Sum. Sumui nodded in understanding. One cleaning later, both Sum and Sumui let out a big sigh as they see that they're somehow cleaned the whole kennel. Damn, that was long, but we did it, said Sum. Sumui nods and says, you should have had your son do it. Is she dirty and wet from cleaning? Sum looks at her and says, oh, that's never going to happen, as I told him so many times. Then next time threaten his manhood, as he seems to hold pride in it. Remove it and he is more submissive, said Sumui as Sum's, well, too late for that since you already destroyed it, said as she laughs. Sumui giggles and says, then threaten to get me and he will do it like he should have, as you're his mother now. How about a shower? Sum says, sure, follow me and I will join you as I smell so bad. Sumui then starts to plan to get Sum as her woman. They head to Sum's personal bathroom. Later at Sum's personal bathroom. Upon arriving, Sum right away takes off her clothes, which she's unknowing giving Sumui a show. Sumui licks her lips and strips. Lucky there's a seal from Mito that is keeping her out of sight, as Sum notices this and says, oh, are you enjoying me stripping off my clothes? Sumui says, yes I am, and I might see something I like, as she takes off her own clothes until she's fully like Sum, as the brown hair MILF asks, oh, what do you mean by that? Sumui smirks and goes up to Sum and whispers into her ear, I am seeing a very that needs a good and a MILF that needs it as well. Sum blushes upon that as she says, oh, you don't know all, as she kisses Sumui on the spot. Sumui is a bit shocked but deepens the kiss and removes the seal, letting her out as Sum drools at the sight of Sumui's. Is it long and thick? Such big, said Sum. Sumui says, why don't you give it a lick, Sum, as Sumui shaking her a bit. Sum then something that Sumui didn't expect, which is her getting pounced by Sum, which Sumui says as she falls, oh, is this MILF eager to be right now, as they fall onto the floor. A few minutes later, they are in 69 position as they're deeply into it, as Sumui is eating out of Sum's, which it's leaking out so much juices, as she thinking, oh, this MILF is so horny, I can't wait to her like mad, as she has her tongue licking onto Sum's lips as more juice is leaking, while Sum is going crazy with her blowjob, as she bobbing her head wildly like she's not letting go of Sumui's, as she has only one thing in mind. Sumui is licking Sum's and smacks her, making Sum moan on Sumui's as she sucking it more, as she is thinking, as it is the only thing going in her mind. Sumui is thinking, I wonder why she wants to be so badly, as little does she know, Sum hasn't for so long since the birth of her son, and her pathetic husband left, but now someone is going to Sum. And that someone is her. Sumui as she licks Sum's even more. Sum moans and comes as Sumui's training with Mito is helping to pleasure a woman better, as they're still in this position for good a while, as Sum takes out Sumui's and licks the side of it as she says, it's been so long since I had tasted a, as she keeps licking it. Sumui then has a little lightning chakra in her tongue, and Sum moans louder than before as she moans out, this new feeling. I never felt like this before. Sumui is thinking in her head, oh, that is it, Sum, you will be getting more later when you real nice and hard, as she keeps doing what she's doing to Sum, as Sum herself is feeling amazing by this, and her mind is slowly going into a haze with what Sumui is doing, as she licking more of Sum's, as the MILF moans out, I'm losing my mind with your licking alone. Sumui keeps it up. Then after 30 minutes Sumui comes while she has a hand on the back of Sum's head, not letting her remove her from her mouth, and Sum comes again as well, as both are going crazy with lust now. Half hour later, Sum has a stupid look on her face, and this from only Sumui's licking, as Sumui says, how do you like my lightning style licking? Sum moans and shivers as Samui's answer, and Samui smiles as she can do something else with her lightning chakra as she channels it onto her, then stops and says, "How about you show my you MILF?" As Sum do as Samui says, while Sum says, "L like this mistress." Samui is thinking, "Mistress?" Samui then says, "So I am mistress now, why is that?" As Sum answers, "Cause when a female in Izuka met their true mates." Samui smirks and says, "Oh wonderful, and get ready you needy MILF, cause here it comes, a Kumo Futa." As she gets in front of Sum and thrusts her inside of Sum soaking wet, which Sum shouts out, "Oh shit mistress, you're stretching my out so much." Samui says, "Shit, you're so tight," as she beginning to think that the women in Konoha must be neglectful by their husbands or boyfriends, which is why she understands why Kushian and Hinata have a secret relationship. Samui thrust into Sum's like mad as Sum screams loud as she can as Samui says, "You and the other women in Konoha are nothing more than neglectful horny bitches, ain't you? Yes we are, and you are the saver we need to claim us all for yourself, please more." Sum shouted as she being hammered by Samui, who is having her way with Sum, as Samui is thinking, "I can't wait to take all the women of this village as mine for the rest of time, and the fools of their husbands, fiancés and boyfriends won't know who really owns their women, as there will lose them as I them, and having them scream my name." Sum is screaming loudly, then it gets louder as Samui uses lightning chakra on her, and Sum screams in whole new level as she shouts, "Oh shit mistress, you are turning my brain to mush with that." As she screams more with Samui thrusting her as she says, "Have more of my lighting style, electrical." Sum is losing her mind faster than before as Samui is thrusting her electrified into her, with Sum screams louder by the sec. Samui is really enjoying this MILF more and more. "Tell me Sum, who do you belong to?" As Sum screams out, "You. I belong to you mistress. As you are my one and true mate." Samui smirks and says, "I hope in the future your daughter will be able to enjoy this like her mother is right now." Then Samui smacked Sum's. A few minutes later, Sum is being doggy style with Samui her with her as she still her lightning chakra on her. "Oh, it seems that I can even use this on other women, and I have my eye on the perfect one to get," as Sum screams louder as she shouts, "W who? Erotica Senju, I have had my eye on her for some time now," said Samui as she keeps Sum more. Sum is moaning loudly as Samui is not letting up on her, with Sum screams top of her lungs with her eyes rolling upward as Samui is thinking, "Oh, I really should try this with Kushina and Hinata," as she might have found a way to keep up with Kushina with this, and Samui keeps Sum. Few hours later, they has left the room and go into other, which is Sum's office, and Samui is Sum on a desk as Samui just hammering her deeply inside of Sum's while dropping her, which using lightning chakra as it flowing her hands as well. "Oh, that is it, you are so my bitch to whenever I want." Sum is screaming with her eyes rolling upward as her mind is far gone as the only thing that she is shouting out, and it's, "Yes mistress, I am your bitch for life. I will gladly carry your pups whenever you want me to mistress," as Samui keeps her with lightning chakra. Samui is close to coming. "Tell me bitch, do you want me to fill your womb with my cum?" As Sum doesn't answer as she screams more and more as Samui says, "I will take that as a yes." Samui then comes right into Sum's womb, making her scream even louder as her insides are being filled up with Samui's Kumo Futa seed. Samui is smiling as another has fallen for her, and after she is done coming she pulls out of Sum, who is panting, and Samui puts her tip at her asshole as Sum says, "S so good, why your tea the best mistress," as she doesn't realize of what Samui is doing. Samui says, "I am not done bitch. I have claimed your, now it is time for this fat ass of yours," as she right away thrusts her in Sum's. Sum screams, "Shit, you're as stretching my out to fit your. Pull it out please." As she isn't used to anal. As Samui says while hammering Sum's with her, "I plan to claim all of you, and I need to claim your. I mean come on, this was begging to be," as she it more with Sum screams to the heavens. 4 hours later. Mistress, please come in my market as your sperm bin, Sum shouted as she is fully Samui's now. Samui keeps thrusting and says, wonderful bitch, cause I am going to come right into your. As Sum screams more and more while Samui bucks her hips to move faster than before. After 30 minutes Samui comes right into her, making Sum scream even more with her eyes rolling upward as she looks like that she's going to pass out, but Samui is having none of that. She puts her hand on the back of Sum's neck and sends an electrical pulse, waking her up again. Your mistress is not done with you, bitch. Samui has an evil smirk and Sum shivers and knows that her mistress will be her for a long time. Time skip. End. Samui is heading home smiling, knowing that Sum now belongs to her and she wants to find erotica, but however she spotted a woman who quite a look with huge as she looks very lonely as she at the window, so she come up. Hello there. The woman looks down and says, hello. She is sad, as Samui says, would you like some company? She just sighs and says, sure, as she leaves the window, and soon enough she opens the door as she welcomes Samui inside as she closes the door. Time skip 5 hours later. Inside of the woman's house. The woman is semi-passed out with cum leaking from her and, as she says, why you're so much better than my neglectful boyfriend, as hearts pop out of her head. Samui giggles and says, how about you move in with me, Amber-chan? Then the door opens as Samui sees that Amber doesn't live alone as she sees, Amber, what happened to you? Asked her sister, who rushed to her sister. As Samui sees that the sister is just as busty as Amber as she thinks, oh nice sisters, oh Sapphire, how are things? Said as Sapphire doesn't realize Samui is coming up behind her. The next day, Samui is leaving waving and the sisters have blissful expression and hearts popping out of their heads waving back. Both sisters says, see ya later Samui, come by anytime you want. Samui says, I will girls, you can count on it. Samui then walks home and sees someone she has wanted from the beginning. She sees Aroctica Senju and she licks her lips as she wants her as hers as she about to walk up to her, but Aroctica waved to someone, which Samui soon sees two others come up to and they are wearing their mission gear. Samui grumbles as it seems Aroctica is going on a mission as she still walks up and about to walk past her, but she hears, it's unfair that mom won't let me go on the mission. Samui hears this and smirks. As she thinks, thank you Lady Hokage for unknowing giving me this chance. Samui is planning, then she hears, sigh, I think I will visit my great-grandma Mito, as her teammates leave for the mission. Erotica is angry at her mom and heads to see Mito, and Samui thinks, this is my chance to get my dream girl, as she follows her but not knowing that she is being followed. As Samui follows Erotica without her knowing as Samui is being careful, when Erotica gets to Mito's house she knocks on the door, while Samui is hiding in the shadows. Mito answers the door, oh hello dear, I am glad to see you, please come in. As Erotica noticed that Mito is wearing a red bikini, oh why are you wearing that? Asked Erotica as Mito says, oh I was about to sunbath, can't do that with a kimono after all. Erotica nods in agreement and comes in as she needs to talk with Mito anyway as they went inside, but Mito notices Samui and she gives her a wink. Samui smirks and plans to stop by, so she can get Erotica. Mito nods as she closes the door. Samui comes out to make her plans, then she is grabbed as she looks behind and sees both Kushina and Hinata as both say, hi Samui-chan. Can I help you both? Asked Samui as Kushina answers, oh we just came back and here we found you going after Erotica, and Hinata nods to that, of course I am. I have dreamed of her being my girlfriend for a while. Now that does not mean I won't you girls or the others. Don't get me wrong, all of you are, but I would like to her as well. I do love you all, okay? Said Samui. Both Kushian and Hinata looked at each other and said, so you're planning to steal a girl who has a boyfriend? Samui says, Really then he is an idiot, as both giggle, then Samui asks, are you both punking me? Both nods while smirking. Samui says, oh you two pranksters. It seems I might need to do something about this, as Kushina says, what can I say? I'm such a bad influence for Hinata, as both look at each other while they have a moment with Samui watching this. Kushina, said Hinata with her eyes lighting up. Kushina looks at Hinata and asks, yes. With her eyes lighting up as well. Kiss me you red hair woman, said Hinata and Kushina kisses Hinata and Samui just thinks, I am wasting some time but then again, this is very hot. Girls what do you really want? Asked Samui as both stopped kissing, and a blushing Kushina said, oh right sorry, we just letting you know that, we gonna give you more time away from us as we kinda. You're both going to aren't you? Guest Samui both nods as Hinata says, we hope you understand, as she gives her a look that they will make it up to her. I understand both of you were together long before you met me. Though I might have something very special for you both later but I have to ask, you two are always together, both public and private, so what is your relationship? Oh on paper I am Hinata's teacher. Said Kushina and Hinata nods to that as Samui says, wait so basically it's student the teacher. Nice. As she smirks on that, they nod and head back to Kushina's home as they wave bye to Samui. Samui then walks up to the front door of Mito's house and knocks on it. Coming. She hears and Mito opens the door. Samui how are you please come in. As Erotica sees Samui walk in, the young Senji says, hello, are you friend of grandma? Yeah I am as when I moved here Mito was one of the people to show me around the village and we became good friends, as she and Mito are thinking the same thing, more like lovers Erotica nods, well it is nice to know that Grandma Mito is making some nice friends, said Erotica with Samui sits down. Meanwhile, Kushina and Hinata are each other as Hinata licking Kushina's deeply as the red hair woman moans loudly as she says, yes like that, lick your sensei's more. Hinata does as told and Kushina moans louder than before. Hinata has always been good at licking Kushina's while Kushina plays with her own as she moans more. Back with Samui. Samui and Erotica are talking, so your mother won't let you go on missions at all, why? As Erotica groans on that, something about being a S-rank mission and I wasn't ready for it, which is bullshit. Who trained you Mito or your mother? Asked Samui. Erotica. Both. Samui says, maybe she is worried and does want to lose you like she lost many others, as everyone knows Tsunade's story after all, as Erotica says, but I'm not my dad. No that isn't right. Oh what do you mean? Asked Samui as Mito says, she was going to say that she doesn't go down easy like her father, as Erotica feels ashamed for that. Oh I see but still it is a mother's job to worry, ask Mito about that. Said Samui as Erotica, so can we talk about something else? Like why did you move here? Well I inherited a massive fortune from my grandmother and in my last hope so many greedy idiots wanted me for my body and money only. Explained Samui, as Erotica says, oh that means sense. You have no idea why none of the men ever caught my eye the same here too, that's why I liked women better, said Samui. Erotica was surprised, really you like women instead of men? Samui nods to that. That's right, as they know what they want and so do I. Oh really what do you want? Asked Erotica and Samui has a smirk as she moves closer and says, you. And Erotica blushes badly. A few minutes later, Mito walks over to her room as she leaving there too along as they're making out. Samui moves one of her hands lower and grabs Erotica's making her moan into the kiss more while Erotica is blushing badly as she never thought she would do this. Samui then has her tongue enter Erotica's mouth and she explores as Erotica is feeling something that she never felt before. It seems there is a warm feeling between both of them and it is getting stronger, and Samui has her final hand grab Erotica's and she squeezes both Erotica's and making her moan into the kiss. As they keep kissing each other while slowly holding closer to each other as they get into this more and more, Samui breaks the kiss and says, "Oh my, I never thought that an angel like yourself would do this so willingly." Samui is looking into Erotica's eyes and Erotica does the same, as both blondes have hearts in their eyes and they are beginning to love this feeling they're getting. They break up the kiss. It is like something is telling us that we belong with each other. "How about we move upstairs and I give you something very special?" said Erotica as Samui says, "No, here is good," as she kisses Erotica again, which both of them fall onto the floor. 20 minutes later, Samui is sitting behind Erotica on her ear, also fondling one of her and rubbing her, with Erotica moaning as the young Senji feels something long and hard against her as she asks, "Hey, are you AF Futa?" Samui then whispers into her ear, "I am, my dear, and I can't wait for you to be mine." Samui then licks Erotica's outer ear, making her moan as Erotica says while moaning, "T then do me Samui, B but J just know that I'm not a virgin though." Samui says, "Oh my dear, that is fine, but know this, when you get my in your you will not want any other in you. You will only want mine." As she licks her lips as Erotica says, "That is fine with me, the men around here are small." Hell, Sasuke Uchiha flashed his once and it was so small. Samui smirks. She then lifts up Erotica's shirt, letting her bounce free, and Samui is groping the, "Plus, as I found out, everyone men in Konoha are nothing more than neglectful jerks, so you are better off with me." Erotica moans, then turns her head and kisses Samui again. Samui is playing with her while they are kissing each other, then they break the kiss and Samui says, "How about you have a taste of my and maybe even has these twins on my." Erotica moans out, "Yes, let's." A few minutes later, Erotica meets Samui's and she has to say, "It's very gigantic." Erotica is also seeing two sets of lipstick on Samui's which are blue and purple. "Oh my Samui, you know how to get around. Give me a minute." Erotica goes to a mirror and pulls out lipstick and puts it on her lips, which is a sinful red. Erotica then gets back in front of Samui's and gives it a kiss, leaving a lipstick mark, which now Samui has 3 lipstick marks on her. Samui says, "Oh my, a naughty color for a naughty woman like yourself, dear. Those lips are so very soft. Now let's see how well you can take my." But Erotica says, "But I'm not done with giving your more of my kisses though," in a sweet tone of voice. She then kisses Samui's more and Samui is enjoying it. After Erotica is done with that, she then kisses Samui's tip as Samui asks, "Are you ready, my lovely?" Samui says, "I am ready for you." As Ikaruka looking at Samui's as she opens her mouth and slowly takes it in her mouth, Samui groans as Erotica's mouth is so warm. "Oh dear, this is wonderful," said Samui as she moaned as she felt more warm and tight Erotica's mouth was. Erotica is taking her, then moves back and she left a ring of lipstick on Samui's, and then Erotica gives Samui a wink as Samui wonders what she going to do. Then Samui moans as Erotica is using a bit of ice chakra and is blowing onto the tip of Samui's. And Samui just moans loudly upon that as she says, "Oh T, that feels amazing." Erotica keeps blowing Samui, then she grabs her and wraps them around Samui's, and Samui moans as those are super soft and warm and with the odd icy blow from Erotica's mouth. This is a new level of feeling. "Oh dear, you are so good, but it will take a lot more than that to make me come." Moans out Samui as Erotica says, "I use this jutsu of mine on men with importance informant, even though I promised them that I will sleep with them, but right away tired out my icy blow and combo." Samui smiles and says, "Oh, I have a jutsu to drive women insane, but I don't go too high. They might never recover. But keep it up please," as Erotica does so as she hopes Samui would do it to her as well. An hour later, Samui is close to coming. "Dear, get ready, I am going to come." Erotica does the combo faster as she wants to taste Samui's seed so bad as she wonders how it will taste like. Then 5 minutes later Samui comes right into Erotica's mouth and Samui can tell that she is coming way more than normal. Erotica is tasting Samui's seed and is enjoying it so much. She then removes her mouth and gets hit by some of Samui's cum as some falls onto her. After Samui stops coming, Erotica is licking the seed off her and off her face. So tasty, so wonderful, said Erotica as she licks her hips. Is there some cum on her lips? Samui says, oh, that was good, but it is time for you to be Erotica. Oh, she moans as she feels Erotica sucking her again. Samui is really wanting to Erotica so badly, but then Erotica removes Samui's from her mouth as she says, sorry dear, is that I come to love the tats of your. Samui grunts and then says, oh, you want more, then prepare for the face of a lifetime. As Erotica says, I would love that, as she licks her lips. Samui then starts thrusting like mad into Erotica's mouth and they are both enjoying it as both blondes moaning loudly. Meanwhile with Mito. Mito is sunbathing and is hearing what Samui is doing to Erotica as she says, oh, their two are kicking it off real fast, that's good, I wonder if she would do the same with Tsunade. As she is laying down as she enjoys the sun rays on her skin. Back with them. Samui is going to town with Erotica's mouth while Erotica has hearts in her eyes as she loves this so much. Samui is moaning at this, oh, I can't wait to have your filled with my. Says Samui as she can't wait. Erotica is thinking the same thing right now as she stops Samui from face her and takes out her as she says, I can't wait anymore Samui, I want your. She placed Samui's against her cheek, to screw my. Then show me your now. Said Samui, but then she gets pounced on by Erotica. A few minutes later, Erotica is bouncing on Samui's, oh Samui you're so good. Samui says, you're as so tight. Now before the jutsu I need to know one thing first. Erotica screams more and more as she rides Samui's, as she asks, what do you need to know? As she moves her hips faster, Samui says, are you ready? Then she does it and Erotica screams even louder as Erotica shouts, yes. Move that massive meat rod in me. Samui smirks and does with her hands on Erotica's and squeezes. Erotica is moaning even more as she loves this so much. Erotica then leans down and kisses Samui on the lips and soon enough both are making out, while Samui Erotica aka the girl of her dreams. As this is going on, Mito walks in and she sees them. She smiles as she says, enjoying yourselves my dears. Erotica breaks the kiss and screams, Grandma. But Samui is not letting her off her. Oh, I am enjoying having Erotica bouncing on my Mito, says Samui while Erotica was too embarrassed to say anything at all as she never thought this would happen. Oh, she looks so cute when she is embarrassed, said Samui as she sees Erotica hiding herself behind Samui's head. Mito giggles and says, oh yes she is, well you two enjoy yourselves. I will be upstairs. She walks up the steps as Samui waves by as she moves Erotica away from herself and kisses her deeply. Erotica breaks the kiss and says, that was so embarrassing. She is blushing so much and Samui giggles and says, it is okay dear, you're with your loving girlfriend. Now come on dear, let's get back to what we were doing. Samui thrusts her back into Erotica's making her moan while they kiss. Samui keeps thrusting into Erotica's and has her hands on Erotica's big cheeks squeezing them while Erotica is thinking, girlfriend. I like the sound of that. Yes Samui, we are now girlfriends, as she kisses Samui more as she is feeling of what Samui is doing to her. An hour later, Samui has Erotica in full Nelson and is her making Erotica moan as her legs are next to her head and her are between them. Oh, look in the mirror and look at how beautiful and you are my dear, said Samui as she thrusts deeper into Erotica's. Erotica is moaning and looking in the mirror seeing her loving girlfriend her and Erotica is happy as she loving it by the sec as the more there. Sumui then walks around and finds a couch and sits down while still erotica. Oh, I can see the future when you are pregnant with our child, more of our kids running around and we live happily with the other women of mine. Erotica moans loudly at that and then Sumui whispers, does my dear want me to come into her right now? Yes babe, come into my, please fill my womb with your seed please. I want to feel your seed in my womb. She shouts as Sumui smirks more as she loves erotica more and more. Then she comes right into erotica's making her moan so loud Mito could hear it from upstairs and her stomach is inflating with all the cum Sumui is pumping into her with erotica screams loud as she can. Time skip 5 hours later. Mito comes down and sees erotica bouncing on Sumui's her and she is moaning loudly. Oh Mito, what can I do for you? Asked Sumui. Mito undo her top as she says, I was wondering if I could join in. Sumui smirks and says, I was hoping you would ask that. Get your over here, you are after my girlfriend. As Mito goes over and kisses Sumui while erotica screaming loud as she can with her eyes rolling upward with her tongue hanging out of her mouth. Sumui then has one of her fingers enter Mito's bottoms and into her, then a little lightning chakra makes Mito's eyes widen in shock and moans loudly into the kiss. Mito breaks the kiss and falls to her knees as she has cum. When D did yul learn T to D do T that? Asked Mito, who is panting as Sumui smirks as she licks her lips. Oh, self-taught in fact. Mito is surprised, then Sumui comes into erotica's making her stomach bloat even more and erotica shakingly gets off of Sumui's and Sumui says, your turn Mito and you will like a new trick I have. As erotica says, I need a break baby. Sumui kisses erotica's cheek and says, I understand. Also after all of this I hope you will move in with me. Erotica says, I will think about it. Sumui nods, then grabs Mito and removes Mito's bottom and thrusts right into Mito's. Mito screams loudly as she shouts out, yes. Me hard you big Kumo Futa. Sumui smirks and says, that is right, Mai is better than any man in Konoha and here is a trick I learned. She coats her in lightning chakra making Mito moan even louder as the pleasure has increased as Sumui thrusts her in and out of Mito's as the blonde Kumo woman watches the red-hair Uzumaki woman losing her mind. Sumui is smirking and thinking, I wonder how Hinata and Kushina will handle this technique of mine. Oh, I can't wait to find out. As she Mito and more as she uses more of her lightning chakra. Over. 3 days later. Sumui and erotica are in Sumui's house chatting and giggling. Sumui is happy to have erotica as her girlfriend. I still can't believe that you did that to Grandma Mito. Oh, I know she is addicted now, my babe. Said erotica as she smiled. Erotica is wearing a bra and yoga pants only. Sumui says, that is putting it mildly. Mito has become addicted as Mito never thought that would happen with her teaching Sumui, but she dominated her and now Mito is Sumui's woman, as erotica says, fair enough, as she smiles. Erotica leans in and kisses Sumui, who kisses back, then erotica breaks the kiss and says, I am so happy that you are my girlfriend Sumui. I can't imagine myself with the idiot males of this village. Sumui nods. Agreed, as I have already met Kiba and I was ready to kill him. As erotica giggles on that, then there's a knock on the door. Sumui goes to answer the door but looks through the peephole first. She sees a headbang of her old village, Kumo, as she hears, Sumui, former ninja of Kumo, open up this instant. As it's the voice of a woman, Sumui scowls and asks, on whose orders are you here? The idiots are the rakeage. She hears, the rakeage. Sumui does not believe the woman at all. She cracks the door open. Are you really here on the rakeage's orders or the council? Then she sees a scroll with the rakeage's seal on it. Sumui scowls, what do you want? I was allowed to leave as I told the rakeage I did not feel safe in Kumo after inheriting the money from my grandmother. Then she hears, oh, it's about something else Sumui. I'm here to bring something of yours. Sumui asks, "What did I forget in Kumo?" As she was shocked that she forgot something, the woman said, "It's more of a someone and it would be me, your dear friend Lady J." Sumui opens the door as fast as she can. There standing in the doorway was a woman who has a mid-back length purple hair that has bangs styled in a Harem cut and golden eyes. She wears purple lipstick that matches her shade of hair and pairs it with black earrings and a headband. The headband is black and diamond shaped with a single flower decoration consisting of black and red diamonds. She also wears a corresponding black nail polish. She wears in a black two-piece with red accents. The top exposes most of her undercleavage and a long split skirt with a ribbon cover. On her feet she wears strapped-up black high heels and on her arms black arm warmers. This is Lady J. Erotica sees her as she thinking, "Holy. This chick is something else." Sumui smiles and says, "Come on in, there is someone I want you to meet." As Lady J walks in, as Sumui says, "Erotica, met Lady J, a old friend of mine when we were kids." Lady J says, "So Sumui, who is Erotica really to you?" Sumui answers, "My girlfriend of course." Lady J says, "Well, about time you found someone after all those foolish men hitting on you and I, as we grew up." And she bounced her to prove her point, which Erotica blushed as she thought, "What did she eat to have there? They're bigger than my head." Sumui giggles and says, "Oh yeah, agreed, but be ready to have some small idiots staring at you." As Lady J, "Oh, give some credit to the men of Kumo, they're bigger than the men here in Konoha." Sumui snorts and says, "Yeah, but I know one person who is bigger than them, J, and you know it." As Erotica asks, "What do you mean by that?" Lady J answers, "Oh, I guess you don't know. Sumui and I give each other our firsts." Erotica is surprised and Sumui says, "Yeah, we did, and I will say this, she surprised me with something the next day." Sumui shakes her head as Erotica, "Wait, I think I saw a tattoo on your, is that it?" Sumui says, "Yes, that was one, but J, show her your now." As Lady J, "Oh no, you go first Sumui, after all you had me walk with a limp for a month." Sumui sighs and says, "Fine, my tattoo says, Destroyer, on my, well, the bottom part, since I had grown since then as it originally on the middle upward part of my." Lady J, "True as my were once triple K when she and I first had." Sumui says, "And now they are massive N cup. But I would show her your tattoos now, J." J blushes and nods, then turns and lifts her skirt on her and says, "Sumui's melon-titted bitch." Then she showed the one on her, property of Sumui, and the final appeared on her stomach. It was two katanas crossed with a lightning bolt behind them. That is the symbol of Sumui's family, and these show that I am her property no matter what happens," said a blushing Lady J. Sumui smirks and says, "Yeah, but you were the one who wanted them, Lady J, after the amazing night we had. I thought we should have something to remember." Sumui says, "True, but with how many men were angry with you being the night before." As Lady J, "1, I hide it 'cause I can't have your family mark to shown to someone who could track it, since I go on many missions that have me sleep with the target. Yeah, the ink will make the tattoo invisible when she does not want them to be seen." Sumui smiles and she is happy about that feature as Erotica, "How about I leave you two by yourselves as you have lot of catching up to do?" said as she left the room before Sumui could say anything. But Erotica comes back and gives Sumui a kiss, then she breaks the kiss and says, "Have fun, babe." She then leaves the room again. Sumui asks, "Now what should we do?" As Sumui has a hidden smirk, but she soon sees Lady J taking off her clothes as she says, "What else?" Sumui. Sumui then turns and grabs J's, making her moan, and Sumui says, "Good, 'cause I want to feel these melons on my, more so since you and I had grown after all." J blushes and nods. 20 minutes later. Start. Sumui is sitting and J has her around Sumui's, with Sumui moaning like crazy as her is completely covered by Lady J. Oh, their melons of you have grown so much since the last time they wrapped my. Shouts Samui. Jay is enjoying the feel of Samui's bigger between her as Samui says, "Oh, I can't believe I left you in Kumo Jay. I am so keeping you here with erotica and I." As Jay says, "You know being a Anbu means something to me Samui, you know that." "I know, but remember you belong to me and I should have grabbed you and tied you up and took you with me," said Samui, as Lady J smirks. "Oh, that would have been interesting, and Karui Yugito and Mabui are hoping to come to Konoha as well." Samui says, "But ain't they busy with a mission?" As she moans as she feels Lady J moving her up and down. "They do, but they miss the with you. You ruined them for men as you have me." Samui smiles remembering them all and says, "That is true, but less talking more." Jay then moves her even faster than before and Samui moans louder than before. Jay keeps doing it. An hour later. "Get ready Jay, I am going to cover your melons with my seed," says Samui as she is secs away from coming, and Jay says, "Do it, cover my massive jugs with your seed just like we did it for the first time." As she has a lustful smirk on her face. Samui then comes. "Oh yes, I will mark these melons with my cum." There's fountain worth amount of cum coming out of her and Jay is surprised at how much is coming out of Samui's. Once Samui finished coming, Lady J says, "Wow, this is no doubt 6 times more than before." Samui says as she's breathing a bit, "Oh yeah, it is enough to inflate your womb." Lady J adds in, "Or give any woman heavily pregnant." After 30 minutes Samui stops coming and says to Jay, "Turn and show me that of mine you melon-titted bitch," said Samui as Lady J says, No not Samui, as I'm thinking that I'm going to milk this gigantic rod more." Samui then thinks and then grabs Jay's head and thrusts right into her mouth making Jay's throat bulge out, which Lady J moans very loud on Samui's as Samui says, "By all means, milk my as much as you like." Samui then starts to face Lady J while most of her covered by Lady J's. Lady J is blushing as she for sure will love this if they're keep at it more and more. Samui keeps throat Lady J and thinks, "I can't wait to use my trick on J," and sees how she handles it. As Jay's eyes are rolling up into her head. An hour later. Samui is still skull J and she is close to coming, but Lady J takes Samui's out and wraps it with her as she now giving Samui a as she says, "Come on Samui baby, come, I want to be showered by it." Samui smirks and says, "As my woman wishes it she will get it." Samui keeps thrusting between J's as she gets closer by the sec to cum, then Samui comes showering Lady J with her cum. "Yes, get showered by my cum," as Lady J lets herself get covered in Samui's cum. 40 minutes later Samui stops coming and J is liking the cum on herself as she is rubbing it on her skin as it is creamy and warm. Samui is still hard and ready anyone's as Lady J says, "Your cum is creamy and warm on my skin Samui," as she keeps rubbing it onto her skin. Samui comes up to her and says, "When you are done that is going to get," as Lady J says, "Oh, always straight to the point huh Samui. Never fan of foreplay. Not when the woman in front of me has made me so horny while she's covered of my cum and I have learned to do foreplay," said Samui as she wants to do her right now. Lady J nods and when she is done she turns around and shows Samui her and as she spreads the cheeks. Samui then walks up and has her tip rubbing both Lady J's and asshole, which to choose oh such a hard choice, as she stroking her a bit as she deciding which one to. Then Samui thrusts and it entered J's making her scream as Lady J shouts out, "Oh shit you have gotten bigger you're stretching my out." With hearts in her eyes. Samui says, "Yours way more tighter than I last it." Samui starts to thrust into her even more, even smacks it with Lady J screams happily as she feels more of Samui's thrust in her. Samui is grunting, "Shit J have you ever had anything back here besides my like a toy?" As J answered, "No. Always busy with Anbu. Never have time to buy such a thing," as she screams more as she feels more of Samui thrust into her. Samui says, "Right, I forget, sorry." Samui keeps Jay's making her scream even louder, as both sweating lot as their keep having as Samui Lady Jay's more and more. Samui says, "Oh shit, this is so tight and I am so glad that you are mine." As Lady J, "And no. I'm not yours. And not yet Samui." Samui says, "Oh, you will be mine and I will enjoy making you mine." Samui keeps thrusting into Jay's with Jay screams louder than before. But before Samui takes out her, she first says, "Going to come but not in your rather." She slams it in Lady J's and comes deep inside and Jay is moaning very loudly as her stomach is being inflated by Samui's cum as it's spiraling inside of her as Jay says, That's cheating." Samui says, "We are ninjas, since when do we play fair?" Samui keeps coming into Jay's until she stops coming and starts Lady J's as Jay says, "And not for." Then she screams louder and her eyes widen as Samui uses lightning chakra on her as Lady J eyes widen as she screams 3 times louder. "Do you like the trick I have come up with, Jay?" asks Samui as she keeps thrusting into Jay's with lightning chakra flowing through her. Jay is screaming out, "Oh shit Samui, you're melting my mind doing that." Shit. Jay comes over and over again as it's something that is blowing her mind and Samui smirks and says, "I wonder if you are my woman now as I plan to keep you around no matter what." As Lady J says, I can't stay. I have my duty as an Anbu." Samui pouts then says, "Then I am going to make you want to come back for more from me and then one day you will join my harem." Samui keeps Jay as Jay screams louder, Then you should I sometimes slept with the rakage." "Oh, is the man bigger than my?" Samui asks as Lady J answers, "A time why yes be but." Samui asks, "What is his size?" Lady J answers by shouting it out, He's 11B but you're so much bigger." "Damn right I am. My is 17.5 inches and very thick, so after I am done with you bitch, you are going to be a feud's woman only." Samui shouts as she keeps thrusting and says, "Remember you have my family's mark so you will belong to me," with Lady J screams louder than before. Couple hours later, Samui is Lady J in full Nelson, "Tell me J, do you belong to me or the rakage?" asks Samui as Lady J doesn't answer as her mind is gone at the moment, which Samui will have to ask her again later. Samui knows that she owns Lady J. She keeps her and plans to fill her womb up more as she thrusts her deeper inside of Lady J's with Samui moving her hips faster than before. Samui then comes again and fills Jay's more with her belly becoming bigger and Jay looks like she is 9 months pregnant with triplets and Jay is moaning even more and Samui slaps a seal onto her stomach and it does something special, which she owes to Kushina for it. After Samui stops coming she pulls out and none of her seed is escaping from Jay's. "Now I plan to come into your," said Samui as she has her tip against Jay's but before she could do it, there is a knock at the door. Samui says, "Who is it?" As she wondered who it could be at this time, and she heard, "Haruko." Samui answer, "Come in Haruko-chan." Haruko comes in and closes the door as she is wearing a long brown trench coat. Samui who about to Jay's with the tip against the asshole, "What's with the coat Haruko-chan?" Haruko grabs it and opens it as Samui sees and has a big smirk. Haruko is wearing pink lingerie and says, "Samui-sama please I need your please." With look of lust in her eyes as Samui is thinking, "Damn it, who to? Lady J whose I want to fill it with my cum or my lovable Haruko-chan who is begging me to her." Then Samui remembers and holds Jay close while making a hand sign and another Samui appears and the clone goes over to Haruko. Soon enough both Haruko and the clone of Samui begin kissing each other. 5 hours later, Samui is sitting on the couch as both Lady J and Haruko are between her legs licking her with their stomachs bloated with so much cum and Samui asks, "Now Jay tell me who do you belong to now?" As Lady J keeps licking Samui's as she answers, Samui-sama, my body belongs to you only. Screw the rakeage, you have turned me into a feudal-loving bitch. I am glad that you own me, Samui-sama. Samui smirks as she now has her childhood friend who is now her bitch. Time skip 2 days later. Over. Samui is out looking for something, as she thinks, let's see now, then she sees someone who catches her eye and she is liking what she is seeing. Which is a girl who she is guessing is about Haruko's age, with long black hair with yellow eyes. Is she wearing of black and white clothes, but what caught Samui's eye more was that she has is it well balance of plump and firm. Samui thinks, oh, I must have her no matter what, as she about to come up to her. But however, a guy come up to her first, as it is Sasuke Uchiha, and Samui scowls when she sees him as that bastard had the balls to say that she should be honored to bear his kids, as the black-haired girl gives Sasuke a kiss on a cheek. Samui is thinking that she will be hers, and at the same time, that bastard. How did he get a babe as is her to be his girlfriend? Samui hears them talking and starts to plan. I can't wait for our date tonight, Sasuke, said the black-haired girl, and Sasuke says, neither can I, Blake, as he places his hand onto the now named Blake's hip as both of them begin walking off. Samui then plans to follow them both and steal Blake from Sasuke. Samui watches them as they are on their date and Samui really wants to break it up, but she must wait. As she notices how much Blake is blushing as she enjoying the date, Samui says, I believe that boy is hiding who he truly is from her and I don't like it. As she tighten her fist for this, after the restaurant they head somewhere and Samui follows, all the while getting more anger until she can't take watching this anymore and heads home to make plans. When she got home, Erotica saw the look. Okay, what is the matter, babe? She asks as she sees Samui slam the door close. The angry blonde woman explains Erotica, and Erotica says, yeah, Sasuke is an arrogant shit and he is really hiding who he truly is. Hell, he demanded I get pregnant by him when we were younger. Hell, he still wants me and another woman he can't have, as she has a face of annoyance as she is very tired of Sasuke and his bullshit. I plan to take Blake away from him. I want to her and I need to know where he lives, said Samui as Erotica as she reading a book. Well, you do live right next to her mother. Blake's mother, really? Samui asks in surprise. Erotica looks up from the book as she says, wait, you didn't know? She's literally right there as she taking a sunbath. Samui turns to see an older looking Blake with shorter hair and has the body of a MILF. Samui is dumbfounded as she says, how I never notice her at all. Erotica says, cause she likes to keep to herself, more so since the passing of her husband 3 years ago. That man was a very good man and strong too. Samui nods at that and says, well, this is a big mansion. Maybe I can invite them both over, but first I need to get something. But who do I first? Blake's mother today or both of them tomorrow? How about I go and talk to her? As she thinks of what to do. Erotica says, good luck on that. Samui asks, why do you say that? Erotica, well, Blake's mom really keeps things to herself, and not only that, Kumo ninjas. Samui says, really, and she is holding a grudge, not cool. I lost my parents to Konoha Shinobi and yet you don't see me holding a bad grudge, it was war. Erotica says, well, not everyone is like you, but that's not right, I meant. Samui sighs and says, I get it, but Blake does not look that old, that she was born during the war. After, yes, but not before the war. As Erotica says, again, not what I meant. Mrs. Belladonna kinda has a thing for anyone who are from Kumo. Samui says, oh, so she wants to be by someone from Kumo. Oh, I think I can do that. As Erotica nods as she adds, but though I think she prefer Kumo men, but we will see. Samui nods and heads out to talk with. Samui is walking up and says, hello. As Mrs. Belladonna notices Samui, oh, hello. I have to say you look wonderful, said Samui and giggles and says, thank you dear, but I am not as beautiful as I once was. You're kidding me. You look like a goddess, said Samui as Mrs. Belladonna says, oh you tease ain't. But I really don't like being called goddess though. Samui says, if that is what you wish. But may I know my neighbor's name? Mrs. Belladonna answered, I'm Callie Belladonna, widow and mother of one. Yeah, I saw your daughter. Now I know where she gets her looks and beauty from, said Samui as she smirks. Callie lightly blushes as she says, oh stop. Samui walks into the yard and says, my name is Samui. I have to say I am glad my neighbor is a beautiful woman. Callie blushes and giggles more. Oh you, Callie, may we talk inside as I am worried about your daughter? Asked Samui and Callie is confused. Sure, but why are you worried? They head inside and Samui says while watching her says, it is about the man your daughter is dating. Sasuke Uchiha is not someone who she should be dating. Don't I know it, but this is Blake's choice, said Callie as they enter the house and Samui closes and discreetly locks the door. Samui says, yeah, but there are other people out there besides that duck. And Callie nods, not knowing that Samui is going to make her move on her. Samui, listen, I know you just worry, but it's Blake's choice and I don't have any say. Samui is right behind Callie and says, I know, but I wanted to bring it to your attention. But you do have a say in one thing. As she is about to grab Callie, but however, Callie walks away from Samui as she says, would you like some tea? As she doesn't realize, Samui mutters to herself, calm down, you will have her. Yes please. Samui follows her into the kitchen. Once Samui enters, she sees Callie bent down as she gets something. Samui is seeing her as bigger than Blake's and thinks, Dad Bellabuti. Samui starts to move closer to Callie as she is still looking for something. Samui is close enough, she then grabs Callie's, making her let out an eep. She turns and sees Samui what is doing and smacks her hands off, as she angry says, what are you doing? Samui says, oh, admiring a beautiful woman right in front of me. Sorry about that. Callie just stares at Samui with an anger look on her as she says, if you just say it, then all the talking and grabby hands, with Samui saying, what? An hour later. Starts. Clothes are thrown on the floor, or in Callie's case her bikini, and she is making out with Samui as Samui has one hand on her and the other on her, which are G-cup, and Callie is blushing as Samui licking Callie's while Callie moans loudly. Samui says, do you have any plans for the rest of the day? As she licks Callie's more, Callie says, not really, but I think I just made some and that is you and me time. As Samui says while smirking, good cause I'm going to you as long as we want. Callie giggles and says, then take me and make me yours. Samui kissed her after Callie said that. Samui keeps playing with Callie's and she is moaning into the kisses. Callie moans loudly though the kisses, she blushing as she thinks, oh, she is so good at this. I wonder if Blake should join us as they kiss each other more while Samui has her free hand and move onto Callie's and starts fingering her. Callie moans as Samui is going very deep in her as Samui fingering her with 2 fingers. Samui is thinking, oh, this MILF is so wet, I can tell how badly she needed this, as she keeps it up more and more. Samui then breaks the kiss and sucks one of Callie's, making her moan more, and Samui even goes deeper with her fingers as Callie moans out, oh Samui, you're so good at this. Should I am close to coming, as Samui stops as she says, oh no you don't. Callie whines as Samui removes her fingers from Callie's as Samui says, do you want to come? Yeah, I want to come, says Callie as she wants to come badly. Samui smirks and says, then let's keep having some fun, Callie, as she shoves her middle finger into Callie's. Callie moans very loud and comes as Samui did that. Samui smirks as she moves her middle finger in and out of Callie's. Samui says, so what should I do next to you, Callie? As she still has her finger in Callie's as Callie is panting, "Please let me lick your." Samui thinks on it, then Samui says, "How about 69, as she smirks. Callie nods so fast, showing she wants it by having hearts in her eyes as it's her favorite position. Samui says, "I will take that as a yes," as she then gets taken down by Callie. 10 minutes later. Both of them are heavily deep into it with Samui licking Callie's soaking wet. Callie is sucking and licking Samui's with loud slurping noises as she thinking, "Oh Callie, you are so good, but there is no way you are leaving me, my kitty," as she licking more of Callie's. Callie keeps licking and sucking, then she feels a jolt from her as Samui is using lightning chakra as Callie is thinking, "Oh, two can play this game." The next thing Samui knows is Callie's mouth gets a little colder, but not to the point of frostbite, but to the point of a nice cool feeling on Samui's. Samui is thinking, "Oh you sneaky kitty, I never thought you would pull something on me," as she resumes licking Callie's with a bit of lightning chakra channel though her tongue. They keep going at this for a bit as they're moaning loudly as they're eating each other deeply. Then they both come yet they keep it more as if they're in some kind of trance. Callie is enjoying this as she has not had any since her husband passed, as she licking more of Samui's while gently messaging Samui's balls, and Samui is going deeper into Callie's as Samui's tongue moving around inside of Callie's. Callie is moaning as she is feeling this, and same goes for Samui as they keep it more and more. Then 30 minutes later they come again, and yet they keep going until 3 hours later. 3 hours later. Callie is giving Samui's a tit job as she says, "You know you're bigger than my late husband." Samui says, "I am not surprised at all. Hell, I am bigger than the rakeage," as Callie licks Samui's while moving her. Samui moans as she is loving this so much. "That is it, Callie, keep it up dearie, and I will give you a wonderful reward," said Samui as she moaning louder than before. Callie speeds up wanting that reward so badly. As she keeps it up and more as she bobs her head faster as she sucking it more, and Samui has her hand on Callie's head as she starts sucking her as she feels too good. After 30 minutes they are still going, then Samui is close to coming. As Callie knew it, Samui comes right into her mouth while she says, "Yes, take your reward, drink my cum you milf," as she moans loudly as she keeps coming. Both Samui and Callie have a whole day of looking forward.